Laser Enthusiasm presents
Hey, this is Nick, and I'm going to show off Red Earth, a little known 1990s Capcom brawler with RPG elements. Yeah, I hit a tone on another game called Gun Hazard, which was an awesome side scroller with RPG elements, but this is a little known CPS Board 3 game, and I'll go into that a little bit more. From Capcom, kind of on the tail end of AAA studios doing 2D graphics. It would be a long time before 3D graphics kind of gave way to 2D games again, as far as indie studios bringing them back, at least in a profitable sense. And this is a really great game. To the best of my knowledge, this only came out in Japan and Europe, but we didn't actually get this. Actually, there were a couple of fighting games just before, say, Street Fighter IV, that a couple of these characters show up in. Isabella is the witch, and she shows up, and this lion guy, whose name escapes me because I'm doing this not necessarily live, I'm recording over all the audio that I lost completely when I originally played this. So this is live footage, recorded audio over the fact. Now, the whole basis for this game is you're still playing a 2D fighter with essentially like 10 bosses. Okay, and you level up. As you beat things, you get more skills, more durabilities, unlock moves, weapons, kind of. Basically, they're upgrades. Now, whether you were pumping in quarters or not, whether you die, whether you win, you always get a password, so it always at least lets you save your progress. You could go from one arcade to the other, put your password in, and you're good. You're golden. It has all the information for where you left off with the character, which is probably why the upgrade system is so simplistic. I mean, it's rich for what it is. Like, you can upgrade technically your shield, which is more like your blocking abilities, and it's different for different characters. This one is the shield, the sword, and then there's an uppercut move that you get later. For example, right there, it's telling you that he becomes resistant to fire and stuff like that. So certain specials are going to do less damage, or maybe lose their ability to knock down. And the really cool thing about this is you could go from arcade to arcade, and if somebody else is really into this game, they could pop in their password, you pop in your password, and you fight off. That's pretty sweet. Basically, characters that you've built up. Not quite to the level of Street Fighter Alpha 3 in the World Warrior mode, where you really kind of have a lot of customization, and I'll probably hit that in some video or another. I really need to do that because I miss that mode. Why it's not in every single console release, some version of that mode, I don't know why Capcom would not release some kind of mode like that in every single home release of every single Street Fighter since then. But that's a moot point. So yeah, CPS III, I said I would touch on that, just in the historical context, and I know a bit about it. Everything up into Street Fighter III was done on the CPS II board. So your Street Fighter 2s, your Street Fighter Champion Edition, Super Street Fighter, Alpha, the whole Alpha series, actually, and every other arcade game that was kind of in between that was on some form of the CPS II board. And what we have here is just before they started getting into like doing Resident Evil in 3D, Capcom put together the CPS III board, and that's where you see Street Fighter III, this, which is Red Earth in Europe, Warzard in Japan, and I could be messing that up horribly. I'm not a historian. I try. So there's the CPS III board, just to kind of wrap it up, didn't have a long life. There's like 3 games on it, basically. Warzard, Street Fighter III series, including all the upgrades, and I believe there's one more, and I can't think of it. And I'm sure somebody can give me that name. So basically what we have here, and I wanted to show this because I really wish something like this would come out, say, on Steam. You have your Castle Crashers, which is fantastic, but this is 2D Capcom fighting goodness, and we all know how superior that is to pretty much every other fighting, except for BlazBlue / don't hate me too bad for thinking about it. My nerd cred is going down, 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 down. Lowering. Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear. Don't hate me for quickly forgetting that and then remembering it. That's probably, in my estimation, the only series that really holds up. Wait, don't let me forget Neo Geo. They had a lot of SNK had a lot of good fighting game series. Don't get me wrong. That hold up to most of the series that they put up held up to Capcom's fighters. Those were like the 2 companies, Arc System Works and SNK, that could hold even a candle to Capcom's 2D fighting games. I'm umming a lot. I really need to stop that. Stop it, Nick! Bad commentary. And the thing about this game is that you're going to die a lot as you level up, because the bosses start with a lot of knockdown and a lot of basically cheap hits. And at this point, fighting games had kind of adopted, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, because I hate adaptive AIs, and I'll tell you why. There's nothing unique about them. I view them as lazy programming, because you don't have all the AI essentially reacts the same way to everything that you do, and if you do something too much, it figures out how to essentially screw you over. So where you have in older games maybe not the smartest AI in the world, some games have really fantastic AI. But if you really got into the game, you could essentially not just become good at it, but learn how to cheat the system. And you had games like Mortal Kombat, which I'm not knocking Mortal Kombat too bad. I'm a fan of Mortal Kombat. I was better at Street Fighter. And I appreciated it more. If you play Street Fighter 2 and you play against the AI, you know that if you're playing Ryu and you're fighting Guile, that if you can, even on the hardest difficulty settings, you can fake him out by throwing a jab dragon punch, which will feint him into whiffing a flash kick that you can then punish him for. And that's kind of cool. And I think that's lost in the fighting game AIs, and basically all AIs in general right now. I think it's easier to write adaptive AI because it does somewhat more complex things. But it's the end of the video. I've ranted a little too hard on the soapbox, and we're done.